Welcome everyone, Dr. Thor here. Get ready for Gnosis. Well, let's talk about these water additives. Oh, they're fantastic. Willard water, crystal water from the late Dr. Flanagan. Now, we've all been told how important water is, and this is really not true at all because you get pure water from things like tomatoes, watermelons, the food you eat, a chicken breast, a hamburger. This is all pure forms of water that were gone through the system of the earth or a plant, purified, and then left in there as H2O in its purest form. And that has also the proper balance of minerals and everything in it. So you need to have food to get pure water. Drinking water is a fantasy, and it's just another way for the corporate world and their whores, doctors, to screw you. Life is all about you getting screwed. Isn't that nice? Based on scientist facts, what the scientists say, you need pure water. You don't get pure water in a lake or dug out from the ground or anywhere else. So that's like putting water in a dirty bottle and thinking you've got pure stuff. It's insanity and it makes no sense. And do check out my hydration video to clarify that fraud. The other fraud is all these special additives. Willard water. And there's a long list of what Willard water does. Well, I can give you a long list of what it doesn't do. The same thing with crystal water from late Dr. Flanagan. Well, I've used these for years because water's so important. And not only that, we need wetter water. What? Wetter water. Your body isn't taking in the water it needs. Well, that's because you're drinking water instead of getting it from the places that have a lot. I mean, ideally, if you were thirsty and could obtain it, eat a watermelon. Very little calories, lots of great minerals in a form that goes right into your body.
Eh? I never heard I got a drink. My doctor says I'm dehydrated.
And this is a condition I don't even believe is real, but doctors like to drink more. Well, water isn't going to do that anyway, but that's covered in my dehydration video. So the point is what are you understanding about all this stuff? You don't get it. Now, I've used the crystal waters for going on now 20 to 30 years, and the same thing with Willard water. Let me tell you the great results I've got from it. Did you get that long list of great results? I got zero from all of it. It's super expensive and has done absolutely nothing for me whatsoever. And I've used them time and time again, over and over again. So what it does in the human body, and while I have cured myself of most of my physical problems created by being injected by toxins called vaccinations and all the other crap of living, and having sick parents, none of this was done through the use of any of these things which I've done for years. I've got no improvement over what is extremely expensive stuff that they make for pennies. You know, I like how everybody likes to scream about the corporations and how they rip you off. Now, certainly this is a case. And then, of course, you get the anti-corporations who rip you off just as much. The alternative doctors who want to charge you a fortune for their treatments. The alternative people that want to charge you a fortune for their herbs and supplements, which are through the roof now, which are things that cost pennies. So let's get it fully understand that the alternative people are just as greedy, if not more, than the other ones. They're interested in making money as much as they can while they scream out of one side of their mouth how medical or doctors are ripping you off. Certainly they are, and doctors are way overpaid for basically producing zero. The hell have doctors ever done? Nothing. We're sicker than we ever will. Now, obviously, if you break a leg or something, and of course, I'm not sure there was a big problem with that even in ancient times. Leg setting and everything else is not exactly new. So the whole idea is that this is something, and their operations certainly aren't helping anybody. The most common operation, which is for the heart, generally is a fraud. So the whole idea is that all that goes. But that's another issue. Let's get back to these wonderful, expensive waters. So basically, they want to charge you for a little bottle of water, which you can get a 40-year-old bourbon or whiskey for. It's amazing something can sit around for 40 years and be cheaper than a little bottle of chemicals that is in plastic, by the way, because they're too stupid to make it in droppers. They want to make it so they can make more money. Plastic bottles are cheap. They don't break. You take it. Make sure you get those petrochemical crystal waters, Flanagan. Thank you. Maybe that's why you died young. Who, as far as I'm concerned, Flanagan has produced absolutely nothing. Except work for the government and take beautiful animals like dolphins and make war machines out of them. Thank you, Flanagan. So the whole idea is that I have no use for him, his technologies, his neurophones, zero. Now let's get over to old Dr. Willard. Yeah, we got this stuff. I was learning how to clean pots with it, because that's where it came from. This was some sort of natural parts cleaner or whatever it was. And people, again, say that this has got some sort of chemical basis in it, which is interesting. It says on the bottle, don't put it in glass. Why? Is there some great chemical we're getting from the plastic? And certainly it must have been in glass sometime, but I'm suspicious to that as well. Now, there does seem to be some minor effects from Willard's in terms of agricultural experiments of growing things a little better. But, plants are not you. You're not a plant. So the bottom line is that it's hard to say with these things without doing complicated experiments, which I just don't have time for. And they are using substances which you may not be able to get that are very costly. Well, let's get back into the pureness of the occultons and using the vibrational energy from the creation of the universe and through the use of consciousness radionic machines. Let's not use substances anymore. That's all part of Newtonian nonsense. Let's get past that. We're in a new time, and let's all wake up after these horrible situations we're going through now. We found out what scientists have given us. Death. So, we all need to understand that. So, let's get back into these things. I've used these for years. It's done absolutely nothing for me. I restarted this about a year ago, buying these consistently again when I was more physically fit and everything else. Didn't do nothing. They're expensive junk in plastic containers that don't do anything for you. Now, as a general rule, that's 100% true. Now, the individual. Now, the problem with anything when it goes into your biochemistry, which is unique. You've grown up somewhere, you're full of the chemicals in that neighborhood. You've been drinking water in a particular way, you're full of those chemicals. You've got the DNA of your parents and whatever else is going on. So the whole idea is you as a bio bottle of chemicals, which is what we are to a certain degree, that has been kind of electrified, is different than anybody else. But in the bigger picture, we all have to make a bigger picture judgment on something. Should you be buying a $40 box of drops in a plastic container? Crystal energy. Crystal energies? And of course, that's what he claims his water is, Flanagan. That he found out that how to make that wonderful benefit you get from quartz crystals and contain it and have it be able to withstand boiling and movement, etc. His statements were that crystals are great when you put them in water, but the minute you disturb the water, move it, touch it, that the crystals break down instantly. Don't believe it. Certainly Marcel Vogel didn't believe that, a crystal expert. You should be using quartz crystals and drop them in a jug of water. I had that. My water that I have in a jug, which is distilled water that I pour into a jug, has a giant tachyon cell in it. A perpetual thing you buy that puts out tachyons. You don't buy them 40 times, you buy them once. They're not overly cheap. I consider tachyons, in terms of their pricing, a ripoff, but they do last forever. You buy them once, and you have a tachyon cell converter. It condenses tachyon energies slows them down so you can use them, and they do work to a certain degree. I have that. I have that with several types of stones and crystals and clear quartz and a few other things. So all this is in my water jug, and I just refill it with distilled water, which I drink very little, as I said, direct water. I'm drinking teas, black teas, coffees, and a lot of pure fruit teas, which again, you're picking up minerals from, you're picking up natural vitamins from, etc. when you drink fruit teas because you're making it from the actual fruit, and that's all in there. So it's just basically dried pieces of fruit, and probably, since they're the less tasty parts, you're probably getting a lot more minerals from it. But this is what Flanagan says. He's kept that crystalline structure, which is so good for you and makes the water wetter. Your body takes it in better. I don't believe any of that. Certainly, I've had zero physical effects. These are expensive bottles of goo I wouldn't recommend to anybody. But, I'm a person who understands the problematic situation of bio units. So your bio unit is different. So if you want to try this and see how it works for you, well, try it. Same thing with Willard water. There's a lot of delusional people that claim to get results from everything. I have tried everything and have results from very few items. And again, you don't know if you're getting anything pure or you're getting enough of it. People take herbs and other things. These bottles are outrageously expensive, and you're getting a tiny bit of herb. Going to use herbs? Buy them in bulk. Powdered herbs are inexpensive and go a long way. And then you get into Willard water, and again, there's a similar hydrating effect to it. Again, hydration, come on, let's get real here. And there's been books written about, this one guy, I guess it was an Indian author, some of everything. Well, I have drank huge amounts of waters and liquids in my life, and it's done absolutely nothing for me. So I don't believe that hydration in itself is going to cure anything. And I don't believe any of this. To just drink water and this does that for you. What water? Where is it coming from? What is in there? Bottom line is all water, no matter where it comes from, ain't very good for you. It is full of whatever it has come from. So the only water that is pure is rainwater, and I'm not sure that is pure because the atmosphere is full of nuked, full of radiation. The skies are full of pollution. So what are you getting from rainwater? So that's not pure either, but it is technically distilled. There is no minerals in it, which whether the minerals in your water are good for you in terms of the fact that you can assimilate them is a great question. Just because minerals, water was sitting in the ground on top of a bunch of minerals, it doesn't mean that those minerals in your body that you got from that water is assimilable whatsoever. So having all this water that your body can use and all this stuff, sounds good. But as far as I can see, and particularly from these crystalline waters from Flanagan or the chemical waters from Willard, do not do anything. So again, if you think there's something there, try them. Get a bottle of it. Try it. But see if you really have any results from it. Now, if you're living a good life and pure and everything else, and this is the miracle stuff, it should do something for you. If you have a physical condition, you should feel better. Technically, if you listen to these boobs that push this drops of worthless junk, you should be cured of everything. Why aren't you then? You took their bottles, many of them. I've done it for years. 0 Z, nothing, people. So don't waste your money on this. There's other things you could get. You should be making sure you have bought yourself a distiller instead of, which is basically a couple of bottles of this stuff, or maybe even one bottle. And you should make sure you're not using tea makers, coffee makers, the plastic poo that is. But the point is, they don't talk about this, and they are more than happy to give you their worthless junk in toxic bottles. Here we go again. Nobody that produces anything in this day and age that puts them in plastic has any credibility. My personal items, I have converted everything that I produce over to glass, but I never used plastic bottles for my occult oils or anything else. You don't put quality stuff in plastic. You put crap in plastic, and it shows that you don't know what you're talking about. Our spray bottles for our empowered alchemical oils, glass. Everything is glass that we sell now, and basically has been for over 35 years. So we don't use plastic. And you're not even consuming these things. But if they're in your environment, why do it? And it's also, if you have a $40 bottle of drops, I think you can afford to spend a little extra on a bottle with a dropper that is used correctly. No, the great scientist, Patrick Flanagan. I taught dolphins how to kill. Yeah, yes, my friend Dr. Evil helped me with that. Or Willard, who's cleaning parts here. Oh, wow, I'm kind of thirsty. I would drink some of this stuff. Oh, yeah, well, that's not too bad. I'm not dead. So get some parts cleaner, people. So the whole idea is that all of this stuff is bogus. It doesn't work. We have to get down to what works now. We're in a time is short, whether it's your life or in this population in general. Let's start supporting and doing things that empower us and not waste our money on products that don't work. And this is a big problem with everything. If for some reason you're sold on it, try it. Maybe your bile system will benefit it from some degree. Never talk to a person who got any benefits from this whatsoever, especially a person who had a IQ over a handball size, over 8. So the point is that all of these things are something we need to wake up to. We need to stop supporting marketers, multi-level jerks that get out there and sell their junk for outrageous prices. We need to get past all this stuff. And we need to get into what works and what works now. Time and money is extremely limited. Let's not use junk. Now, in terms of the crystal issue again, as I mentioned, Marcel Vogel, one of the premier scientists of his time and crystal expert, said you get all the benefits you need by just dropping a crystal in the water. Now, even to get a real nice one that you pick out somewhere, maybe that'll cost you $25, $35 for a special one. You can get most of this stuff and make sure it's a natural crystal, not grown by somebody. Lasts forever. Not $35 a bottle on top of the ripoff that these penny substances that they sell for $40 that cost them 5 cents. The bottle costs more than the substance inside of it, and Willard water isn't much different. It's all junk. It doesn't work. Don't waste your money on it. Find better things that work, and you're going to have to be more active than just charging your body up. You have to go after the problems in your body. You need very active substances there, not neutral water that'll help you. Well, it doesn't work, and all these frauds about people living longer that drink certain water, this is all nonsense, and there's no way to really prove any of this, because, quite frankly, there isn't even birth certificates that go back 100 years, especially in Hunza in the middle of Pakistan and the backwards, screwed up societies that all those areas are based on. We have no idea. Those people that look like they're 120 are probably 20. Until next time.